We are very excited to announce our $2 million capital raise for phase three of our SaaS platform, led by supply chain industry veterans. We bring over 146 years of combined experience across freight operations, technology, HR, customer service, and executive leadership into delivering these solutions. Picture a platform similar to Upwork or Fiverr, but focused on solving problems for 44 million supply chain executives in the USA. The initial market opportunity in the USA is over $19.8 billion per year. Warehouses, trucks, trailers, port operations, maritime solutions, and more. We love helping supply chain executives solve problems with less time and money, and we're excited for the chapters ahead. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Supply Chain Insiders. I'm excited to be joined again by my friend and business partner, Mr. Michael Bensett, Mr. Podcaster Extraordinaire. We're going to be talking about the alarming increase in freight fraud today. We've got a couple of different articles we're going to dive into with some stats, with some insights, and we're going to dig into it a little bit more. How are you doing today, Michael?
I'm doing fantastic, my friend. I'm doing fantastic. It's a great day. It's a great day in our industry, and unfortunately, this is a topic that we're still talking about.
Absolutely.
Because I've been through the old school techniques of put a lock on every LTL trailer, and the driver has to come into your warehouse and unlock the back of our trailer. You cannot open the door or close it. That solved about 60 to 65% of all the theft at Roadway Express. Was just locking the door when you at delivery.
Right.
Because before the driver could get there, the door would be open and half the ship would, hey, we're missing 4 boxes.
Oh man, I can imagine.
And I mean, we're talking about something completely different, but when you're talking about pilferage and all that other kind of stuff, it happens at the shipper and it happens at the consignee. It doesn't happen in between. Statistically, it's a non thing. Right? But then we also learned, when you look at the statistics at a shipper, there are how many people in your warehouse back in the day, or how many people are on that cross dock. One of them's making a phone call. Trailer XYZ 123475 is a load of televisions. It's due for dispatch. It's happening right this second. Somebody's making that phone call right now.
Right.
As long as you're moving freight, there's going to be theft. Somebody's going to figure it out. If you think you don't have theft or problem, you do.
Right. Many years ago,
you do.
In the late 1990s, my first foray into logistics and freight, right? I was working at a company that built digital mapping and fleet routing optimization. Well, basically, one of the very well-known, I won't name them, very, very well-known brands in snack foods, okay? They would have a driver go into a place with all these snacks, right? Open the back door, offload onto basically a dolly, walk into the store, come back out, and half of their freight would be gone. Literally.
Of course.
So what they ended up doing was implementing a procedure where they had a spotter at the dock, basically at the store, and saying, I'm watching it and we're not. And another thing was just close the door and lock it, not put the lock on it, but just shut it and put the hatch down. Okay.
Yeah.
And just do those two things. And, just have it's only like a 20-minute delivery. Just have somebody at that store go, yep, I'm watching you. Hey, how are you doing over there? Because that's our stuff that you're delivering to us. Right. So anyways, they implemented that and it went down 90%. Right.
Oh yeah. But we're not talking about those kind of thefts, are we?
We're talking about some pretty big freight fraud. I'm going to go into a couple of things here. So according to DC Velocity and TIA, there has been a 65% increase in incidences of cargo theft and strategic fraud over 6 months, right?
Over the last 6 months.
Right. And it's obviously an alarming rise. And it's strategic, it's like coordinated efforts in taking companies' freight. And
So
part
is
of
it
it's,
is it strategic in the cargo they're taking, or is it strategic in nature of what they're doing? Right, these aren't random like, oh, there's a truck, let's steal it off the road. Right, they're targeting specific companies.
yeah. So specifically, May 1st is when this article hit the airwaves.
Yeah,
Freight brokers nationwide are facing staggering losses as cargo theft and increasingly complex fraud schemes run rampant through the industry. Um,
right.
so it's coordinated, what I would call organized crime. It's not
Yeah,
some guy that wants to go steal snacks off the back of a truck. I mean, it's like
yeah. No, these guys
coordinated,
are stealing the actual load. They're being offered the load. They're posing as the trucking company and taking the load.
right?
They're showing up right there. They're getting their trucks are being loaded and everything, and it's not the right truck.
Yep. And then they're hauling it somewhere, offloading that freight, and then going to the gray or black market with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it can
And
happen quick.
yeah, TIA's watchdog reporting platform showed between September 2024 and February 2025, the group found a 65% increase in fraud reports compared to the previous reporting period, which spanned 8 months.
Wow.
So there's a coordinated, organized crime effort to steal identities of a freight broker, go there basically and say, hey, we're here, take the freight, take it somewhere, and then go sell it on the black market.
Yeah, and that right. And that's what they're talking about. 97% of the people who report or were in the survey or however they did this to discover what 97% said that it is brokerage fraud that is this freight. Now we could get into the other is really pilferage. It's not cargo theft. Really, I think it's under a different designation, and that may be on the rise as well. I would imagine when people are more and more desperate, those crimes go up just like everywhere else, right? But
Right.
this is not what we're talking about. We're not talking about LTL theft and pilferage of loads or people jumping on the back of a rail car as it stopped, and we've seen those pictures. Just ripping off whatever they can. These guys are taking loads of freight, posing as the actual brokerage, right, or nefarious or carrier, and
Right.
taking it. So it's brokerage fraud is what is going on.
Right. Absolutely. It says in the article, unlawful brokerage remains the most common scam. So 34% of the respondents cited this scheme as the top fraud tactic that they face. And fraud isn't isolated was another big part of this. 83% of the respondents say they experienced at least three types of fraud in the last 6 months. Another one that's happening, probably not being covered as much, is driver identity. Um, there's fraud going on there, right? It's not the person that says they're that person, and that's happening as well. And there's some new technology in that space for identity verification as well.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, there is. It's an interesting dilemma with all the technology that we have, that this can't easily be solved, right?
right,
And there's players that are out there that are trying to solve this, and yet we see it going up.
right,
And some of those players trying to, do this, you think are doing just fantastic. They're doing quite well as companies, but the fraud isn't going away. It's really because it happens at the transaction, right? I mean, you go to a broker and the broker's accidentally giving it to a carrier that has stolen somebody else's ID, right? Or you're giving it to a broker that isn't the broker you normally use. And to me, it becomes, is the optionality that you have within your system the problem?
right.
Is it the lack of relationship? I mean, I do business with you all the time, Andy, and I've never mistaken somebody else for you.
And we were talking about it not too long ago.
Not
I'm
once.
like, right. And not too long ago, LinkedIn implemented a thing where it's an identity verification, right? Because I
Sure.
am seeing a ton of fraud accounts on LinkedIn,
Oh
unfortunately.
gosh, you get hit with them every day.
Right. I'm like, what in the world is this? But now they've got the thing verified, right? You have to do the ID where you have a state issued ID with the barcode with has all kinds of info in it and your selfie. And they go,
Yeah,
yep, that is actually Andy Hedrick.
yeah.
Us and not Tom Jones or some.
You're not talking about the new ID,
No, no. It's
which
really,
is ridiculous. Do you have your new ID?
I do. I have the real ID now. Do you?
Not yet. I mean, because the deadline's already been delayed. So when is it? I mean, so what'd you do to get it? You had to bring in two forms of identification, right?
You do.
Yeah,
Two forms.
and one of them is you can use as your current driver's license, right?
No.
Yeah, it absolutely is. You
Oh,
can look on the
not
site.
not from my remembrance. I went in about 6 months ago and did it. I had to bring a birth certificate and I brought my passport, and I think one other document. Set up an appointment and went in.
Yeah,
They
you
proved
can
it
use
was
a photo.
me.
You can use a photo ID, which is like a driver's license or a handgun carry permit, like a couple bills to your address and your social security and or like a birth certificate and passport, right?
Yeah, they have like I think remembering they had about seven forms of ID, but they had to include at least one with your picture on a government issued ID of some
Right,
sort.
right. The
Right.
exact same things that you needed to get your original one.
Right.
Yeah, that's my
Probably.
point. That's my point. I
Yeah.
already have one that I used the exact method to determine who I was, but I've got to do it again. And now this one's safer. That I mean that's a lot of what is going on in this space right now. There's got to be something new happening, and somebody's got to figure out something new to utilize technology to prevent this, right? Because it's not going away. Over the last 6 months, it went up. What? How much? 65%
Right.
over the last 6 months.
Yep.
It's 20. So 2024 was 26% higher than 2023. And 2023 was 9% higher over 2022.
Right.
There's no, you can't look and find a time frame where it went down.
Right.
And the
Right.
reason those don't match with 65% is the 65% is over the rolling last 6 months, right? So that it would kind of make sense that during the peak seasons and even Christmas seasons, there's more incentive and more opportunity for theft, right? I would imagine that theft occurs more during the fall in the U.S. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know the stat. It just in my mind, I think, okay, there's many more loads of new electronics moving and stuff like that that can be offloaded quickly. And these are organized. So the ones that they do catch are probably the novices. They're just learning how to do this right. You know what I mean? The one that they don't catch, that thing is on a ship within 24 hours. It's not even in the US anymore. It's gone.
That reminds me of a story way back in the early 2000s. I was with the company, an electronics manufacturer, and I was
Yeah.
working on their logistics and freight movements and optimization and so forth. I happened to accidentally uncover 75 loaded trailers of televisions that
Yeah.
were not a part of the route plan.
Oh wow.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then what happened next was I went to a VP with the information. A VP of security for the company calls me and said, Andy, thank you so much. Now leave it to us who have police officer backgrounds because that's a lot of money and I don't want you in the middle of that. So you've reported it. We really appreciate it. Let us, the police, basically handle it from here.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Because
crazy.
I,
There are
well,
people out there going, there's no way it's leaving the country that way. You got to go through customs, you got to go through the ports and all that kind of stuff. That's baloney. I call me up, let's go down to Miami. We'll spend a nice weekend. We'll go out to dinner, Las Olas. We'll hit, South Beach, all that stuff, and I'll take you up and down the Miami River, and I'll show you how it leaves the country like that, undetected.
Yep.
It's not hard.
And this happened to be a maquiladora, they call them, Texas,
Yeah.
Mexico. There was a Texas Mexico ring going on, and I didn't get to the end of it because I had to hand it over, right? But boy, that's a lot of money. 75 fully loaded trailers of televisions is it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. It happens quickly, but it's happening at the offer and the tender of the load, which is, well, it's happening at the contract to move the load, right? The actual physical tender of the load isn't where the act happens, right? That it's not a spur of the moment type of thing. It's a strategic, like it says, it's a strategic catch. They're entering the system at the point where you would suspect it is a safe transaction. Because
absolutely.
that's the easy part. It's almost impossible. You can't just show up somewhere and say, "Hey, that's my load," without a load number and stuff like that. The load number is given, and that verification is given over the phone or electronically days before the pickup in many cases.
A perfect segue into this CBS affiliate, 4WWL released an article, and this
Okay.
happened to Tanager Logistics. Okay, somebody calls the saying, basically, when is that load leaving? And what is it going? What's going to be on that load? Beverages. Okay. They had used the Tanager logo and an email scam to get a hold of information and then show up posing as the company and then stole the freight, basically, right?
Yeah.
So they're using it's identity theft, of course, and then they're getting information from the person shipping the product. It's what is it again? What's going? Oh, it's beverages. It's this. It's that. Here's the bill of lading number. Here's the pro number, whatever. And okay, cool. I'll be there in 5 minutes. And it's sad and
Well,
sick.
and they called them out. That it was the real trucking company that called the fake company and said, "When are you coming? When are you going to be here?" And then at the end, they said, "Hey, this is us, actually."
Yeah. Yeah, what the person did not know on the other end of the phone was that he wasn't talking to a real trucking company. He was talking to the company impersonating Tanager Logistics. Yeah,
It's absolutely crazy how that stuff happens, isn't it? I
it
mean,
is.
you think about these things that occur, and when I said, there's people, if there's a lot of people, I don't have theft. Yes, you do. If you don't think you have theft, it's really bad. If you think you have theft, you do. There's theft everywhere. Things don't get. I used to call it overage, theft, and damage in LTL. There's no such thing as shortage, right? The shipper either still has it and they figured out that they still have it, but they didn't tell you because you said you signed for five, and now they've got one of the five sitting there for free because they're going to file a loss. There's no shortages. Somebody has it and it's illegal, or some, you know what I mean? And that's just the way it is. People make phone calls off of LTL docs, right? When you're looking for the person of theft, and when you're looking at that theft, they don't look at the guy with the tattoos all over their face and the guy who comes into work late and gets nailed for smoking pot every once in a while and stuff like that. That's not the head of the ring. The head of the ring is the guy that's been there for 20 years and you never suspect. They have all the relationships, they have all the trust in the world, they have access to the cookie jar. There's your guy or girl. And to think that these things aren't purposely happening from an actual broker in a brokerage house, handing it off to nefarious carriers with some kickback and so on and so forth, you're insane. It absolutely is happening.
Right. Right. Yep. I was working at another major league electronics manufacturer. I can't, they went out to press release with this one. It was in Asia making hard drives, and a guy had put together a black market ring. He was just like you're talking about, seasoned veteran of the company, been there forever, had set up a side black market ring. He had made enough money. It was like a $15 million case. He had a Bentley and a Ferrari. So these security agents who are FBI and police got wind of what was going on, and they started monitoring and watching him. The funniest thing as a part of that, he shows up to the office. There's four guys in black suits and whatever security.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they said, "Well, sir, did you drive your Bentley or your Ferrari today?" And they said his face just got dropped and he got
Oh
ashen.
yeah. He knew he was nailed. He knew he was nailed.
Yep.
He's
Yep.
like Richard Pryor in Superman. Remember that?
Oh my goodness.
You're
Yeah, they
skimming like
actually
penny, you're skimming like fractions of cents off, and he drives in his Ferrari and like busted.
yep, exactly. This guy had gone so far as to rent a garage separately from his house to park his exotic vehicles, right? And they were monitoring him, of course, and watching where is he going. And they went and parked this Ferrari in this garage, shut it, and then went home in a normal car, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But they caught him basically.
So it's interesting to me where this thing is, where this stuff is occurring, right? And it's interesting to me that you have this is it the time lag that happens that makes this happen? Is it the fact that um it, I mean, I know the main cause, the 100% main cause of this is the very low barrier to entry into the market. Very low. I guarantee
Right.
you, you and I I can get one. I can start making phone calls right now, and I can get an MC number, and I can get one that I guarantee you is 15 years of activity on it, maybe 20 years of activity on it, and I'll have it for you by the end of next week. It's easy to buy one, very easy to find. It just takes tenacity to do it. I've done it before. I bought one that was 15 years old, cost me $200, cost me 1,000 phone calls, but only $200 to get the thing, right? And I have an MC number that looks like we've been in business for 20 years. Easy. I'll have it in a week, right? I guarantee you, you and I can book at least 10 loads within the next 4 weeks.
Right. Yep.
I
That,
guarantee it.
yep. It's a low
Guarantee
barrier
it.
to entry. Yep.
Well, it's because you've got all these brokers, et cetera, that are desperate to cover a load. Here's what happens. It's the low barrier to entry. And in my opinion, just being an insider and having done this for years, not stealing, but been in a brokerage and in freight for 36 years. And it's the desperation of going, oh, I'm on a load board and there's 10 loads coming out of Walmart right now that I have to bid on right this second. Otherwise, they're gone because everybody else will. So I'll book those 10 loads. Say, yep, I'll do all those 10 loads. And now I got to go find somebody to cover my ass.
Right.
That's That's where it happens.
Yeah.
That's the pinnacle.
Right.
It isn't work. AB InBev is my huge customer and I take care of them weekly. I got the same carriers going and stuff like that's not happening. That theft is tactical and somebody's just ripping it off from a truck stop or something like that, right? That's not what's going on. It's that act that's happening. That's where most of it's happening, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I mean, I because I'm not a thief, but that's, in my opinion, there's the open door.
Right. There's a scramble to cover those loads.
There's a scramble to cover those loads because
Yep.
you're dealing with a broker and you're dealing with brokerage houses. And I'm sorry, I've been in a business before, but 99% of them are just there to make money and don't care about that relationship. They're not in it. They're not doing the long haul relationship building and solutions of logistics, etc. That's where it's at. I bet if you went to one of these brokerage houses that have all these extras, they're like 4PLs, right? They're into your whole business and really giving you value add. There's not theft going on in there. You know what I mean? There's specific, and I could start naming them right now, but I don't want to play favorites. But there's specifics out there that guarantee you're not getting any theft through. They're not accidentally brokering it, double brokering it to anybody. Guarantee it, because that's not how they play the game. They don't play the game like that. Those guys that play the game like that, that's the problem.
Right. Well, this has been a hot topic for years, and it doesn't seem to be going away. We're going to have more in other aspects of fraud in weeks ahead. And that'll do it for this episode, everybody. Thanks for listening or watching today, and we will see you again on the next one. Take care, everybody.
Peace and love.